Hello, good afternoon, and welcome to the Midday News on Shri FM 92.7. My name is Beatrice Edu. The news is also live on Kesmi 107.1 FM and across the world at SriNews.com. Coming up in the next 29 minutes. Utility service providers justify what many describe as the highest tariff adjustment request ever proposed to the Public Utilities Regulatory Commission. Also coming up on the program, Accra High Court set October 17 to rule on an application to halt the criminal trial of former Signals Bureau Director Kwabena Eduboahene and three others. And much later, 24 hours after Tebiokoshi fire, MCE for the area calls for immediate investigations and closure of unauthorized warehouses. Thank you very much for joining us this afternoon. Now, the Greater Accra Regional Fire Commander has expressed concern over the increasing trend of using residential properties as warehouses. He has charged the Ablekuma Central Municipal Assembly to investigate and prosecute the owners of the warehouse for negligence and operating without the necessary permit. It's more than 12 hours after fire gutted a warehouse located in a residential area at Latebiokoshi on the evening of Tuesday, September 9. That was just last night. Now, as of 10 a.m. today, fire personnel were still battling pockets of fire with 4 fire tenders at the scene. The Greater Accra Regional Fire Officer expressed concern over the situation.
They don't have permits.
Yeah, so where we stand now, these are Chinese people who are doing their own things. They don't have a fire permit, because if we give a fire permit, what it means is that we are going to come here and assess the place and ensure that the place is safe before we give a fire permit. So I can tell you on authority that there's no fire permit here.
So you think the cause of this fire, the owners of the building, those operating the business, can be surcharged?
Yeah, I think the assembly can take them home, because they've not given approval to cite this place as a warehouse. It has been cited, so they can take them home.
But the fire service doesn't have the power to take such people on.
No, what the fire service can do is to investigate, and if we find out that whatever has happened here is as a result of maybe criminal issues and other things, we hand them to the police for prosecution.
Is they operating this business here, using this place as a warehouse without permit, not enough illegality?
No, it is enough illegality, but as to prosecuting them is also another issue. Are you getting? Who could go on and prosecute them because they don't have a fire certificate? They don't have it. And if you don't have a fire certificate, the fire service can take it.
What's your name, sir?
My name is Assistant Chief Officer Rashid Isa. Greater Accra Regional Fire.
Okay, thank you so much, sir.
And indeed, you heard the Greater Accra Regional Fire Officer speaking to our reporter on the scene earlier. Well, the Municipal Chief Executive, in an interview with TV3, assured that investigations are underway to determine the exact cause of the fire.
It seems the smoke and issues around cause some few issues with us, with fire service and 1 or 2 of our municipal guards. But so far everything is under control. We haven't recorded any major casualties. Well, this structure has been here over 8 years now. We noticed I have had had initial engagement with them, as you did an interview with them, and with a few facts that we found out with a cross check from our assembly too, we noticed that they have permits, as they say. But then we are still going to investigate to know how they got the permits and whether the structure on site now was the structure that was giving permits and the continuous assessment that was done. Indeed, it's an area that has a lot of warehouse. About 3 weeks or 4 weeks ago, we had constituted a team that is even going around to assess the permits and to assess the structures that they have on the floor to ensure that whether they are in compliance with the necessary laws for our special planning committee. And so we know this will only go to add up to some of the investigations we are doing on the warehouses around. Those that we need to close, we will take rapid action on them to ensure that we close them.
And you heard there the Ablekuma Central Municipal Assembly, the Chief Executive Officer of that area, speaking to us now. Proposal by major utility companies to increase price cost for their services has generated mixed reactions across the country. On Tuesday, a major stakeholder meeting called at the behest of the Public Utilities Regulatory Commission (PURC) requested a justification for the increment. At the meeting, the Ghana Water Company Limited applied for an approval of a 281% increase in its water tariff, proposing a jump from 5 cedis 28 pesos per cubic meter to 20.09 Ghana cedis per cubic meter for the 2025-2029 regulatory period. The utility firm said the steep adjustment is required to address its debt overhang and manage rising operational costs, including the pollution of raw water sources of foreign exchange pressures on the importation of equipment and treatment chemicals. The Ghana Water Company Limited also said that the current tariff regime is inadequate to sustain water supply to or finance the expansion of critical infrastructure. The Electricity Company of Ghana is also seeking a 224% increase in its distribution charge, while the Northern Electricity Distribution Company NEDCO has applied for a 171% hike, citing unsustainable operational cost. The Northern Electricity Company has proposed the scrapping of the lifeline tariffs for low-income households. 3FM sampled the views of some Ghanaians on the proposals, and I want you to take a listen to exactly what some of you told us earlier.
ECG ni Ghana Water, almost services here poor, and so almost increasing tariffs, say consumers no almost 2 years. How will their services be? Will it be effective than before? Also, we meet a problem. Ubedi hunko konyabasa omumbeye. Ana Ghana Water so atanswa pipe baby. Ufre omwa. Water no waste ekogotemu. Now so say omumbe taking agency. Ana omumbe a repair we no omunye. Tama omupe na umbeye intimi ami hu say hu hia so umbeye increase tariffs.
We wish as a citizens for now, if they hold on for now for us, it will help us. For me, I buy, let me say, 50 cedis prepaid. It won't take me to a week and the 50 cedis get finished. If I want to use a 50 cedi prepaid, I have to off everything in my room, especially when I'm coming to work. I have to off everything before the 50 cedis can take me to a week. And then as for the Ghana Waterways, if this burden come to add up to us, then it seems like the people on the top are not helping us at all. So we are begging the government. The way they are doing it, they should slow down for us, please. We are begging the government.
Sometimes with the light, so if you buy, it doesn't keep long. Yesterday like this, we are having this, I don't know, they will call it doom so. The on it and the on light and off it and on the light. If at the end, no, like 30 minutes and they off it, when they on it back, you see that this thing, the currents, the prepaid, it has the amount you are having on it to reduce. Yeah. So
And you had there some of you expressing your views on the proposed tariff hike by both Electricity Company of Ghana, of course NEDCO as well, and the Ghana Water Company Limited. Well, energy economist Ebenezer Baden and the executive director of the Consumers Protection Agency, Nana Prempe, has also shared his views on this.
Absolutely, yes. You know, we have been operating a multi-year tariff order. So 2022 to 2025 is one order which ends the end of this year. And then we enter into 2026 to 2030. Now, over this period, ECG is required to go to the banks, go to its creditors, borrow money, use suppliers' credit to finance investments, capital expansion projects, network intensification projects, meter provision and all that. So you borrow and then now you come and invest, do your construction works, and then now when you have commissioned all equipment and they are into service and customers are benefiting from it, then you go to the regulator and make a case for.
Before we can help ECG to survive, they also have to help us. Yesterday at the consultation meeting, I asked ECG after their presentation that if you want the consumer to understand your dealings, let us know the truth about your state of affairs. We asked them how much does the public institutions, such as the Ministry of Finance, such as the Ministry of Education, how much do they owe you? Because according to what we have, they owe to 5 billion cedis. That 5 billion cedis can go a lot to do a lot of things for you.
And you had the energy economist Ebenezer Baden. Let's speak to the executive director of Arusha Ghana, Daryl Bosso. Thank you very much, sir. Good afternoon to you.
Good afternoon to you as well. I'm the deputy director, just to correct that, yeah.
Executive director?
I'm the deputy.
Deputy executive director. Thank you very much, Mr. Bosso. First of all, let me get your general thought, really, on this proposed 281% tariff hike by the Ghana Water Company. And I'm sure you heard the water company citing illegal mining as the major driver of rising operational costs for it.
Yes, I think the truth is that if the service provider who gives us water is saying that as a result of all of these external factors like galamsey, they are not able to process water for us and they need to increase the price, that's the fair demand. But I think that we need to get to the root of the problem. And as much as we believe that the agency can say, let's get a price hike, there are very deep-rooted issues that the state is failing to deal with. And for me, just the admission that we need to increase the price because of galamsey is also a reflection of how the state has failed citizens when it comes to doing its job to ensure that we all have access to good quality water when we need it. And so for me, I think the demand is fair, but all of us, the states, also citizens and consumers, we need to be asking ourselves, why have we sat down and allowed the impunity of what is happening to our lands and river bodies to now come to bite us? Now, we see a sector, a country where a particular sector, which is gold mining, is flourishing at the detriment of a struggling water sector. And this also puts all of us as citizens at risk. So for me, it's just shameful and just really telling us that we have all failed. First of all, the Ghana Water Company, even though they are demanding some hikes, have also failed in their job. Yes, they did talk about it, but what did they actively do? And then the state has also failed in ensuring that the miners who are really responsible for all the mess that we're experiencing contributing to these hikes are not being accountable for it. So I think it's a justified call. There's nothing we can do because if they cannot process the water, they might even decide to shut down. And that is going to be a worst-case scenario. But I think maybe this should be a call for all of us to sit up and then make sure that our government is working for our interests and not for the interest of a particular sector to flourish while other sectors of our economy also crumple.
Although we heard the utility providers explaining that this is not a one-time tariff hike they are asking for, it's over a period of time, people are still thinking that this is outrageous. How do we deal with the pricing, even if it is gradual?
Well, for me, yes, immediately we think it's outrageous, but how did we get here? This was long in coming, and this is not the first time the Ghana Water Company or PURC have brought up this possible price hike because of Galamsey. I think it's been staring us in the face. We just refuse to hold the bull by the horns and then deal with it. So if it must happen, I mean, there's very little we can do if PURC decides that, look, we are going to grant their wish. Now, even what I'm even concerned about is that they will still increase the price hike, but you are not even going to get quality water as you need it. So, I mean, we need to deal with the root cause of the problem. Otherwise, we are just going to keep talking about this forever.
Thank you very much. You heard Daryl Bosso. He's the Executive Director of Arusha, Ghana. Thank you so much for sharing your views with us now. Lawyer and human rights advocate Gloria Ofori-Boadu says Ghana must do away with the winner-takes-all syndrome because it is creating problems for the country. Her comment follows the removal of the Chief Justice Gertrude Araba-Isaba Tokonu after the 5-member committee found her guilty of what it called stated misbehavior. Speaking on Agenda on TV3 with me last night, Madam Gloria Ofori-Boadu alleged the removal of the Chief Justice was politically motivated. Let me ask you this before you go.
Our constitution, those who are working on our constitution should find a way of of dealing with this winner-takes-all syndrome. It's really creating problems in our country and in our country's governance. And if we don't put a stop to that, phenomenon, one day there's going to be crisis. And when I talk of crisis, it's going to be very serious crisis. Every, apparatus of government, from the top right down to the messenger or the driver, right down to the chief executive, right down to the minister, deputy, it's getting sickening. And because of that, there's so much hypocrisy in the system. So much hypocrisy. Look, what I thought was that this committee that was put in place, because there had been an allegation or some perception of compromise on some of the committee members, the president will have accepted the petition of the young man, Kumi, who came up with this, alert that, please, there's been this contact between some members of the committee and a lawyer for one of the applicants. So please look at it. Let them step aside. Take your time. Find out what is going on as a father of the nation. Talk to the parties. Let them come out, because I'm even told that the chairman was even not there and has been kind of wrongfully accused and all that.
And you heard Gloria Ofori-Boadu. She's a lawyer, a women's rights advocate, as well as the managing partner of GOB Law Consult. Well, a member of the NDC legal team, lawyer Sadat Haruna Al-Hassan, who was also on Agenda last night, disagreed with his assertions. He said that nobody has been able to point out the specific provisions in the Constitution that the committee or the president breached the probe process.
Lessons have been learned largely by the incoming or whoever were appointed. In fact, the current crop of Supreme Court justices have learned huge lessons from the conduct of the removed Chief Justice. It means that, you see, when the Constitution speaks about certain qualities of a judge in terms of proving character, high moral character, and proving integrity, they are not just beautiful words being used in the Constitution. They have meanings, and those meanings ought to be interpreted properly. Moral character, you must demonstrate a certain degree of morality. And you know what morality is? Your ability to distinguish between what is right from wrong. Those are the things you should be very minded about. Now, we are also talking about proving integrity. You must exhibit a certain level of honesty, sincerity, and candor in your conduct. Those are the indicators. And so they are not just captured in the Constitution just to make the Constitution sound so lovely or beautiful. But we must leave those words
And you heard the Sadat Harun Al Hassan. He's a lawyer and member of the NDC legal team. Some 20 minutes past the hour of 12. When we come back, we'll go to the Accra High Court, where we understand that October 17 has been set to rule on an application against the former Signals Bureau Director Kwabena Edubuahene. And Shri others, stay with us.
Hello, Ghana. It's a new year and Bills Microcredit is here to support your dreams. If you're not working but want to start a business, don't let money stop you. With just your Ghana card, you can get a loan to turn your ideas into reality. Already running a business? Need more capital? Or are you a salary worker looking for extra funds? Bills offers fast and easy loans with no collateral, no deposit, and no SUSI savings required. Wherever you are, whatever you need, Bills makes it happen. Call Bills Microcredit today. Call 0596 920 833 or 0302 200 390 and get started. Bills is licensed and regulated by the Bank of Ghana. Bills, financing your needs. Terms and conditions apply.
And you're still here on the Midday News on Shri FM 92.7. Thank you for staying. Now, the Accra High Court has set the 17th of October to rule on an application to halt the criminal trial of former Signals Bureau Director Kwabena Edubuahene and 3 others. Lawyers of the embattled Signals Bureau Chief, led by Samuel Altachia, moved the application to stay proceedings pending the determination of appeal of the High Court decision. The court, presided over by Justice Eugene Nyadu Nyantes, earlier dismissed an application by Edubuahene's lawyers for further disclosures of documents citing irrelevance and non-possession of the requested documents by the prosecution. Kwabena Edubuahene, his wife, and 2 others are facing 11 charges, including stealing, money laundering of some 49.1 million Ghana cedis in state funds, willfully causing financial loss to the state, and abuse of public office. Lord Edwasare is our court affairs correspondent. He joins us live on the line. Lord, if you can tell us what this means to the case.
Right, Beatrice. So essentially, on October 17, the presiding judge will decide whether the trial should be suspended or put on hold pending the appeal of Edubuahene's lawyers at the Court of Appeal. Let me bring you up to speed on this appeal. So at the last time, the High Court dismissed the application by the Edubuahene's lawyers asking the prosecution to make available documents which they believed would help the case. They accuse the prosecution of omitting 83-page documents which they described as exculpatory, meaning that it would provision of this document will help make the case and exonerate his client. But the judge, in his decision, indicated that the document that they were asking for were irrelevant and did not really make up the case that they wanted. And lawyer Tachina indicated that he actually alleged that the presiding judge was blocking access to relevant and key evidence which would help the case. And that was why he proceeded to the Court of Appeal on this matter. Now, today, after moving the motion, the Deputy Attorney General opposed this motion, indicating that the reasons that the lawyer for Edubuahene had raised were, again, irrelevant and one that should not be taken seriously because they have already provided all the documents that they would need for the case. And so he prayed the courts to, as it were, dismiss this application to stay proceedings. Now, something also came up in court where the Attorney General indicated to the court that the lawyer for the accused persons was in the media sort of playing to the gallery and making the pressure come on the case. At that point, the presiding judge indicated that no one can put pressure on him, his court. Even his friends know that, his childhood friends know that, and so the law will take its course.
Thank you.
So this is where we are with the case, Beatrice.
Thank you very much, Lord Edwasare. And as you confirmed, the case, the ruling is expected on the 17th of October, right?
Indeed.
Thank you very much, Lord Edwasare. He's our court affairs correspondent. Now, President John Mahama will later today, September 10, 2025, hold his first presidential media encounter since taking office in January. A statement issued on Monday, the 8th of September, and signed by the spokesperson to the President and Minister of Government Communications, Felix Kwachofosu, said that the encounter will provide a platform for President John Mahama to engage the public through the media on national issues. His Resetting Ghana agenda, as well as ongoing policies and projects. The event, slated to take place at the Jubilee House at 8 p.m., said accredited journalists would have the chance to put questions directly to the president on a wide range of subjects. Now, during his previous administration between 2012 and 2016, President Mahama held a number of such interactions with the press, including the major session at the Flagstaff House then on January 12, 2016, to mark his third year in office. Let's bring in Professor H.S. Ikanko, Associate Professor of Political Communication and Media Studies. He's also Dean of the Faculty of Journalism and Media Studies at the University of Media, Arts and Communication, UNIMAC. Good afternoon to you, sir. Thank you so much for joining us.
Good afternoon. Thanks for having me.
Prof, why, in your opinion, is this important for the country, for the president to hold this media encounter?
Thank you very much. Press conferences and media encounters are extremely important because they fulfill a fundamental tenet or some fundamental tenets of democracy, which is that the president must regularly remain accountable to the people that he governs. And so it's extremely important that he holds these media encounters to explain himself to the public, but more importantly, to also get questions from the public. So this is very different from any other speech act or act of political communication, because with the press conferences, he gets the opportunity to be asked questions. The president is questioned by the media, and he remains accountable to the people. And you can't have a democracy without a press corps or without a media who would question the president on his actions to explain his policies. And you cannot have a democracy without the president being available to explain himself. And so this is why this is extremely important to the functioning of our democracy. A
number of the times, or the few times that we've had such encounters, not just with the president, but with the senior political leaders, you get criticism that a number of the journalists go there to kind of pat the back of these leaders and support their propaganda instead of asking questions that the ordinary people would want to know. What are your expectations and perhaps your request of the journalists that may meet him tonight?
Yes, it's a very good concern and question. When you look at press conferences in any democracy across the world, there are certain fundamental aspects of it: the content, the format, the ground rules, and then revelations that take place. So I believe what you are speaking to is the format and the ground rules. I think that if we want this to be an authentic exercise, if we want this to be an exercise that benefits the people of this country, then the press must fulfill its vital responsibility of holding the president accountable, holding his feet to the fire, and also acting or being the voice of the people. There are a lot of Ghanaians who will not get the opportunity to be there. It is the expectation of many, many Ghanaians that the press would ask, or the media will ask very tough questions, well-researched questions, clear, relevant, timely, and impactful questions on behalf of the people of Ghana. And it is only in this way that we can continue to have a workable and functional democracy that benefits the people.
Thank you so much, Prof, for speaking to us.
Thank you very much for having me.
And you had Professor H.S. Ikanko, Associate Professor of Political Communication and Media Studies, and also the Dean of the Faculty of Journalism and Media Studies at the University of Media, Arts and Communication, UNIMAC. Now, stigma and lack of improved awareness remain the two major challenges affecting efforts by the Ghana Health Service in the management of the Mpox disease outbreak in the country. Now, in just a few weeks, the country is expecting the arrival of some 33,600 vaccines, which the service is anticipating will be used to help break the source of transmission of the virus. And we'll bring you more of an exclusive interview we had with the Director of Public Health at the Ghana Health Service, Dr. Franklin Isiedu Bekwini, in our subsequent bulletins. My name is Beatrice Edu. Thank you very much for joining us on the Midday News today. Log on to shrinews.com for more news. Have a good afternoon.
Hello there, good afternoon. Welcome to Business Daily here on 3FM 92.7. Coming up, Ghana's economy expands by 6.3% in second quarter of 2025, led by services sector. We'll hear details shortly. And international buyers advance over $4 billion for Ghana's cocoa purchase. Plus, Ghana Chamber of Construction Industry CEO warns encroachment is driving up construction costs. Details of these and many other stories coming up shortly. I am Michael Obudu. Please stay tuned. And thank you so much for your time. Straight into our top story now. And Ghana's economy grew by a provisional 6.3% in the second quarter of 2025, a significant expansion driven primarily by the second strong performance of the services sector. Data released today by the Ghana Statistical Service, the GSS, in Accra reveals that the services sector not only recorded an impressive 9.9% growth rate, but also accounted for the largest share of the nation's economic output. There is more in this report. The expansion marks a notable period of growth, with Ghana's nominal GDP reaching 313 billion cedis in the second quarter, up from 244.7 billion cedis in the same period last year. Real GDP also saw an increase, rising to 47.4 billion cedis from 44.6 billion cedis. The growth was particularly robust in the non-oil sector, which accelerated to 7.8%, a significant jump from 5.7% in the second quarter of 2024. According to the GSS, the main drivers of this quarter's growth were key subsectors within the services industry. Information and communication led the way with a remarkable 21.3% growth. This was followed by strong performances in education with 16.6%, health and social work 14.6%, other personal services grew by 11.3%, and finance and insurance 9.7%. While the overall real GDP showed a strong year-on-year expansion, the quarter-on-quarter growth rate was 1.4%, a slight moderation from the 1.6% recorded in the first quarter of the year. This indicates a sustained but slightly slow pace of growth compared to the previous quarter. And that was a report on Ghana's economy expanding by 6.3% in the second quarter of 2025, led by the services sector. Some international buyers of Ghana's cocoa have started advancing part of sum of more than $4 billion to Cocoa Board for the 2025-2026 crop season. The full amount will not be released at once, but spread over a period. However, a significant portion is expected before the end of the year. This report has more.
The move is meant to secure Cocoa Board's commitment for bean supply. This follows a new funding model introduced in 2023. Under the arrangement, global traders are required to deposit at least 60% of the value of their forward contract at the start of the season. The system replaced the 3-decade-old pre-export syndicated loan from international banks. Part of the deposits will be used to finance purchases from farmers through licensed buying companies, with Cocoa Board acting as an intermediary. Analysts argue that beyond cocoa farmers, the cedi will be one of the biggest beneficiaries of these inflows. They explain that the funds could significantly boost the Bank of Ghana's international reserves. The bank's economic and financial data released in July put Ghana's reserves at $11.1 billion. The governor of the Bank of Ghana, Dr. Johnson Isiama, has said the inflows should signal to the market that the central bank is well positioned to intervene when needed to meet the demands of businesses and commercial banks. He added that Ghana's macroeconomic situation remains solid and should give businesses confidence in the cedi's outlook, as well as in ongoing measures to improve market liquidity. Ghana is also expected to receive additional inflows from development partners, which should further strengthen international reserves.
And that was a 3 Business News Desk report. Now, CEO of the Ghana Chamber of Construction Industry, Emmanuel Cherry, has warned that encroachment on quarry and sand-winning zones is worsening the cost of housing and road construction in Ghana. The concern follows discussions at the Ghana Investment Trade Week in July. Earlier this week, where industry stakeholders raised issues about regulation and the rising cost of building materials. Participants at the forum agreed that a dedicated platform was needed to address quarry land encroachments, which affect both housing and road projects. Those deliberations have now led to a cross-sectoral forum in Accra, bringing stakeholders together to tackle land encroachment on quarry and sand-winning sites. Chief Executive Officer of the Chamber of Construction Industry, Emmanuel Cherry, explained how developers and landowners are worsening the problem.
Estate developers also start taking advantage. The landowners themselves, seeing that the place becoming very commercial viable, what do? They start selling portion of the land. By the time you realize they've encroached all the place. And you know that sand quarry has a critical component in there because they do blasting a lot. So whilst you are blasting, there must be a buffer zone that's 50 meters away from where the pit is. But today, move to some of these areas, you see that 20 meters, they are there. 10 meters, they are there. If that happens, you cannot blast again because if you blast, it's going to endanger the lives of properties within that enclave.
The chamber warns this is already feeding into higher prices of materials and worsening the cost of both housing and road construction.
Materials are now becoming expensive. If materials become expensive, the housing product also becomes expensive. The road construction will become expensive because it will take over 40 kilometers for it to get a quarried material, which is very alarming.
Industry players are calling for stronger collaboration among ministries and agencies to end encroachment and protect Ghana's construction sector from what they describe as a looming cost crisis. We'll bring you more stories now, and in other news, a major shakeup could be coming to Ghana's telecom sector as Canadian conglomerate Rectron Group has made a $150 million offer to acquire a controlling 60% stake in AT Ghana. This report has more. AT is Ghana's third largest mobile operator, currently drowning in over $150 million in debt. Recton's CEO, Atanas Kolarov, says the debt isn't just a bailout. It's a fully funded, independently validated turnaround plan aimed at rescuing and rebuilding the struggling telecom. The company says it is already in talks with creditors for a debt restructuring deal and plans to invest immediately in infrastructure, service quality, and coverage, especially in rural areas. Rectron has also pledged to retain all existing staff and work with local partners like Afritel and KNet to boost skills and operations. The plan has been reviewed by KPMG and aligns with the government's digital transformation goals. The deal is still awaiting regulatory approval, but Rectron says it's ready to move as soon as it gets the green light from the government. The Rectron offer follows recent hints from the Ministry of Communications about a possible merger between AT Ghana and Telecel. Rectron, however, argues its proposal offers a faster, simpler path to stability without the risk of complex integrations. Government's next move could shape the future of Ghana's telecom industry. And that's how we end Business Daily here on 3FM 92.7. For more business stories, please visit our website. It's 3news.com/business. I am Michael Obodu. Thank you for listening. As always, please stay safe.